Joseph Smith Fletcher was a British writer of detective fiction. He was born in 1863 in Halifax, Yorkshire, the son of a clergyman who died when he was 8 months old. So he was raised by his grandfather on a farm in Darrington near Pontefract. He worked as a newspaper editor in London and then on the Leeds Mercury in Yorkshire. In 1927 he married Irish writer Rosamond Langbridge. He initially wrote historical fiction, which resulted in him being named a Fellow of the Royal Historical Society. He wrote over 100 detective novels starting in 1914. He died in 1935 in Dorking, Surrey. We will review his 1894 The Wonderful City. This Lost Race novel has less than 200 pages, yet it takes over 70 pages to deal with Frank Burnett coming to New Mexico after the loss of an expected inheritance, meeting the Irishman Mick Flanagan as a stowaway, and the two using Burnett's meager fortune to raise sheep near Santa Fe. Then one night a stranger shows up at their camp asking food and shelter. Felix Judd had been running away all day from a band of Native Americans who had been trying to kill him for no reason ever stated. Burnett and Mick share his opinions on Native Americans, where the term savage keeps coming up fairly often. A band of natives rides up on Burnett's camp, so they escape up a nearby hill, with the natives prepared to starve them out. Again, for no reason other than they just met so that they have to kill and scalp them. And again, the author's words, not mine. Then a completely random buffalo stampede coming completely out of nowhere kills all the Native Americans, including all the women and children, and Burnett and co., the former now ruined, decide to go to Santa Fe. But they don't want to take the long route, so they build a raft, but wind up being washed out on a hidden lake within a valley completely encircled by impassable walls. On the beach they meet a random white man living in a cave, who tells them he's been stuck there for 12 years. They washed up into a hidden kingdom in the middle of New Mexico, from which no one can escape, and which is not inhabited by Native Americans, oh no. The people who live here are far fairer skinned, we are assured. However, the castaway, John Cooper, explains the natives tried to sacrifice him the first time he came, but did not on account of his 2 missing fingers. There is a single city built on the nearby island, the city of Marhama, where he was never allowed to tarry. Then some natives show up and take them all to the island in front of the king, a feeble old man who never does or says anything. His son, the Prince Mahar-Hahama, and the evil priest Ra, serving the volcano the city had been built on top of. And of course the priest wants to sacrifice the newcomers to the great fire, but the prince refuses. Burnett and co. befriend the prince and tell him about the outside world. But the volcano begins to flare up, so Burnett and Judd perform parlor tricks to prove they are better magicians than the old priest, to stop the people from wanting to sacrifice them. They succeed, but almost immediately there is an earthquake, so the people want to sacrifice them again. They run away, but find the lake had evaporated, and the entire population is trying to take them prisoner, and the prince overcomes his doubt and comes to help them. But then the entire city gets conveniently destroyed in a volcanic eruption with no survivors and no evidence it had ever existed, and only Burnett and his 3 fellows survive. The novel leaves very little of an impression since it shares the central fault of not good Lost Race novels, where it does not go into the culture or society, and just sort of has it exist without any distinguishing features. The most we get here is the implication that people are vegetarians. But it's even worse here because the entire novel, once we get to the valley, only takes place in the palace or directly in front of it.